This Valentine's Day, celebrate the one you love the most with Hallmark cards at Walgreens. Valentine's Day is the best time to send your favorite person a reminder of just how much they mean to you. A Hallmark card is a super simple and beautiful way to say how grateful you are for the love you two share. Don't forget, Valentine's Day is Saturday, February 14th. Visit Walgreens today to find a Hallmark card that shows just how much you love them. Because love lives here.
RingCentral's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going. As I like to point out each and every day, it expands our base. Shameful and indefensible. The two words that describe what happened with Donald Trump on Friday. You all know the story. President Trump put up on his social media account an image of former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as primates in a jungle. And at first, the president's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, defended it. Her comment was it was fake outrage coming from people over the post. But there is no doubt that it was not fake outrage. I was furious because I don't want a president of the United States who is a racist or who reflects racist views. Can you imagine? Here we are, just the weekend before President's Day. And President's Day is designed to elevate our view of the American presidency, to teach us from history the importance of who is President of the United States. To have the current President of the United States of America put on his own social media website an image of a former president and first lady as primates in a jungle. And it was only deleted after there were massive protests. And the President of the United States made clear he is not going to say that he is sorry. There will be no apology. Let me point out that as of this morning, the Obamas have made no comment, which is precisely the right thing for them to do. Because this kind of horrific imagery used to depict a former president and former first lady who are African American as primates is a disgrace. Is there anyone listening to the sound of my voice who does not agree with me that this is a low beyond lows? Now, let me explain why I am reacting so vigorously to all of this. On Saturday, I received a call from a radio station asking me if I could spend an hour with them commenting on what the president had posted. And I said, sure, of course. Now, the owner of the station is someone I know very well who is very pro-Trump. And I have no problem with his being pro-Trump at all. He agrees with many of Trump's policies. And at the outset of the hour-long encounter, I asked a simple question. Why can't the president apologize? Clearly, something was done which was wrong. Doesn't it make sense when you make a mistake to apologize? And what stunned me, what disturbed me, what I want to convey to you as disturbing was the response of the people who called into that talk show. Most of them, evidently, are pro-Trump. And they defended the president against the indefensible. But more than the defense of Donald Trump, what they did was amazing. They attacked Obama. They called him the worst president in American history. They ripped him up and down. They attacked Michelle Obama. And, well, really what I heard so upset me I can't even begin to tell you. And I would ask each listener, don't you think this is wrong? Can't you just say the president should say, I'm sorry? And the answer was absolutely not. No indication of a willingness to admit that Donald Trump could make an error. No willingness to admit that an attack on a former president and first lady ought to be addressed. And this, to me, was absolutely astounding. I could not fathom, nor can I fathom now, that there would be a situation in which a president of the United States of America would attack a predecessor with such a racist tone. And let me be clear, there is no doubt in my mind that President Donald Trump's use of these images were racist. To use one's social media for these purposes is astounding. And then to trot out the White House press secretary in order to defend the indefensible, and then to pull it off only when leading Americans, including one of the president's most vigorous supporters, Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina, a Republican, an African American, who said, and I want to quote him directly, this was the most racist thing to come out of the White House. It is astounding that the President of the United States does not admit that it was a racist trope. And yet, let me be clear. The fact that the President of the United States would say something like this and that it becomes simply part of a news cycle, it's excusable because other news catches up, the Super Bowl and other such things. But I want to remind you, this is not the first time that the President of the United States has used this kind of racism. Do you remember the birther controversy? The fact that Donald Trump, for years, said that Barack Obama wasn't eligible to be president because he wasn't born in this country. He was born in Africa. And of course, that was not true. Only in the midst of the 2016 presidential campaign, when he was asked a direct question, did he concede that Obama was eligible to be president. And yet the myth that Barack Obama was in fact not born in the United States and ineligible to be president continued. This, by the way, is in stark contrast to the late John McCain, who you will recall was asked by a woman at a rally event whether or not a Muslim should be president of the United States. And how did John McCain answer? He said, first of all, he's not a Muslim, but it wouldn't matter. It was a matter of principle for John McCain, who was the Republican nominee for president of the United States of America and who ran against Barack Obama in that first campaign in 2008. And yet, what we are witnessing now is a president of the United States with a long history. Remember not only the birther issue, but you can, of course, remember another very dramatic issue, and that was the Central Park Five. All of them were innocent, and yet Donald Trump took full-page ads out in the New York Times and other newspapers defending the idea that they were guilty. And then, of course, we just had the Super Bowl. And, of course, I understand that the Super Bowl is such an important event that everything else is sort of put to the side. But even the halftime show at the Super Bowl was condemned by Donald Trump. Not typical of America, not right, to feature someone who was born in Puerto Rico and who extolled his own culture and background. Does Donald Trump not realize that Puerto Rico is technically part of the United States of America? That a person born in Puerto Rico is automatically an American citizen? This pains me to have to say. But there is no doubt that Donald Trump is a racist. And there is no doubt that what he did to Barack and Michelle Obama is unconscionable. And there is no doubt in my mind that it would have been easier for everyone to simply concede that a mistake was made. Now, let's point out that Donald Trump did say that he didn't put it up. One of his aides put it up, and yet the aide is never identified. The aide is never dismissed, at least up to now. What does this tell you about this president? Now, some of you will say, well, John, all you do is criticize Donald Trump. Well, there is a lot to criticize. But I want to remind you that 1 week from today will be President's Day. It is a day when we extol our former presidents, when we talk about the presidency and its import to the nation, and the moral tone which is set by a president of the United States. What Donald Trump has done is to disgrace the office of the presidency. You know, in his message to the Hebrew congregation in Newport, Rhode Island, George Washington said we should give bigotry no sanction. And what Donald Trump has done is to open the floodgates of bigotry. But what bothers me even more is that he has given license to others to be bigots. All you had to do was sit and listen to me on the radio with all the callers who called in, none of whom willing to admit that what Donald Trump had done was wrong. A constant stream of attacks against Barack and Michelle Obama. Statements, frankly, that reeked of racism and bigotry. And yet there seems to be a news cycle now which is willing to put behind us what Donald Trump did. Let me be clear. I am not willing to put it behind me. I am not willing to say a simple error was made. And I am not willing to concede that Donald Trump should not make a public apology to the Obamas, to the American people, to those of us who expect more from a president of the United States. Now, some of you will suggest that I am being overly harsh. I don't think so. But there has been a backlash from Republicans and Democrats who criticized the video for what it is, pure, unadulterated racism. It is important, my friends, for a president of the United States to have the courage to admit error. We've seen great presidents in the past admit when they have made mistakes. But from this president, there is never an admission of error. And because our news cycles move so quickly, because the emphasis is on what happens today, not yesterday, too many people, I believe, will forget what Donald Trump did. If you haven't seen it, it's out there. I want you to look at the image of former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as primates in a jungle. And I want you to think carefully what that means about stereotypes about African Americans. There is no doubt that Republicans are in a panic. The midterm elections are coming. And the wrath of the American people, I think, will be felt in those midterm elections. Now, some of you will save this podcast and say to me, see, John, you were wrong. The Republicans will still win and did win. No, I don't think so. I think when a president of the United States can attack a former president and first lady who are African American, I think when a president of the United States can attack a halftime show which extols the culture of Puerto Ricans, I think when a president of the United States has accumulated a record a record from the days when they rented apartments and wouldn't rent to blacks in the Trump organization, with the birther issue, with the question of the Central Park Five, with so many examples being given. I think the American people need to understand. So I wanted this morning, in the midst of many things to talk about, including what happened this weekend in Ukraine, unmitigated tragedy, in the midst of so many different aspects of American national life. But this, to me, was so critical that I had to talk to you about it. I wanted to talk to you about it. I want you all to understand that the racism exemplified by Donald Trump's comments should not be excused, should not be forgotten. And for those of you who disagree with me, please let me know you disagree with me. I would like to hear a defense of what Donald Trump did. Don't tell me it was just an aid. Oh, no. One more thing. Donald Trump said the original part of the tape simply exposed election fraud in America going back to 2020. There was no fraud in the election. Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden. For those who say to me, John, get over it, no way. No way. Racism is real. It exists in our society. And the kinds of statements that Donald Trump has made, particularly now about the Obamas, deserves our condemnation and our understanding. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. You can write a review on Apple Podcasts, drop a comment on YouTube or Spotify, and click any of the links on the show notes to contact me on social media. And of course, Friday I'll answer questions. I like doing that now on Fridays. So put in your questions. Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this program, will write them all down and give them to me and include your name. Please remember to share this episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which of course is our goal. This show's been getting so much positive input and direction that we now have advertising support. We intend to expand that, let it grow, so we can do even more. I want to thank you all, and I want you to think about what I've said today. And most important of all, I want to thank Gogo Zoger for getting this up and running as she does every single day. I am John Rothman. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. See you then.
RingCentral will completely transform the way you work. It gives you built-in AI across all your business conversations. Your phone system has an AI receptionist that answers calls 24/7. Your video meetings have AI that takes notes instantly. Even your contact center has AI, so you can help customers faster. It all comes together in one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.